One of the most common adaptations of literature that gets put on television, especially now during the holidays, is that of the 1843 Charles Dickens novel A Christmas Carol, centering around a greedy, curmudgeonous, skinflint moneylender named Ebenezer Scrooge, who on Christmas Eve meets three ghosts and changes that embody the spirits of Christmas, past, present, future, and he changes his way by the end, becoming a better person. This book has been adapted to various forms, whether it be radio drama, stage play, live action film, of which there are many out the wazoo, and yes, even animation has taken multiple cracks at it. I'm looking at the lattermost. The ones that are most prominent in animation I can think of, at least off the top of my head, are a 1963 iteration starring Mr. Magoo in the role of Ebenezer Scrooge, where the normally bumbling, incompetent, and nearsighted individual actually plays the role very straight laced. The 2009 Robert Zemeckis film, which was well in that realm of the uncanny valley visually. And today's target, the 1994 made for TV special starring the Flintstones, A Flintstones Christmas Carol. Centering around the town of Bedrock, knowing that several of its more prominent members in the community are part of a stage play written by, get this, and I shit you not, to keep with the Stone puns, Charles Dickens. Fred ends up getting the lead role of Ebenezer Scrooge. Needless to say, the role gets to his head. Little quick backdrop on the Flintstones themselves. Starting as a animated sitcom in prime time and airing in 1962, the series would end up ending in the mid to late 60s before getting numerous spin-offs throughout the 70s and 80s. This adaptation, done in the mid 90s, while both simultaneously to try to pay off some debts from the live action Flintstones movie by Universal, the first one, which while it was a moderate success at the box office, did leave a bit of a bad taste in some people's mouths. But anyway, as soon as Fred finds out he's the lead role of Scrooge, as I mentioned, it goes to his head, and he starts shirking off certain responsibilities. Whether it's getting his daughter Pebbles from cave care, doing his job at Slate's Quarry, all leading up to the big show. Needless to say, his focus on the role has led to a nasty trade-off of Wilma really starting to despise what he's turning into. He's becoming a Scrooge both on and off the stage. And while on the stage, he plays it fairly straight-laced, with the role actually doing many of his lines pretty beautifully. And trust me, it is good with Fred's performance. Wilma, by contrast, is stuck having to deal with his ego and having to do multiple roles behind the stage as a plot device to help out with mending the fences between Fred and Wilma. A stomach flu known as the bedrock bug is going about and taking people and creatures out of the equation. Not killing them, but incapacitating them. Granted, it's more, again, less for the sake of tension and more as a device to patch things up between Fred and Wilma, for better and or worse. As Wilma is stuck being stage manager, costume designer, and playing three roles over the course of the play. Anyway, by the end, Fred Scrooge does change his ways for the better and worse. Visually, the animation is about what you expect for 90s Hanna-Barbera. Pretty clean cut, it's accurate to Bedrock's decorum, and the music does play fairly into the series, into the play itself. Though there is some ad-libbing near the end of the story, which Brickens doesn't really take too kindly to. That said, I think it was something that got a few laughs out of me. In the end, Fred realizes where he screwed up, and he and Wilma patch up their relationship, just in time for Fred to catch the bug. So yeah, I can understand why this one did pop up a lot over the course of the month during on a little station I picked up recently called Memorable Entertainment Television Tunes, or MeTV Tunes, where they air a lot of the retro stuff, what Cartoon Network and Boomerang should be doing. Overall, it's not the worst adaptation of A Christmas Carol. I actually view it as decent, but the fact that the character, as it does play relatively faithful to the material for the most part, minus the ad libs at the end, decent, well done animation, top notch voice acting from a lot of the regulars at the time, and well produced music. However, the fact that character development is strictly limited to Fred and Wilma, a stomach flu is basically used as a backdoor plot device to help with set development, and everyone else is basically playing their roles in the play, stuck in the background, or both, does take a few points off of this adaptation. Still, when it comes around next year, I suggest giving it a watch. While A Christmas Carol is a piece of material that has been done to death, and it would be too self-indulgent to sit through or watch any of them in many sequences just to nitpick their varying similarities and differences from the source material. I'm more of the laid back media connoisseur, and I find it more of a challenge to not lose my shit over the bad stuff. This one is at least worth a couple of sit throughs. That's it for today. It's the only thing I'm going to do here on YouTube today. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and God bless us, everyone. Comment, like, share, and subscribe.